It's too expensive. It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bullshit with all the permits and all the. What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible. And then they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like no course correction at all. They're going further and further into La La Land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys.
The storm in California may have passed, but the outrage is far from over, especially for Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson. The pair didn't hold back on a recent episode of Rogan's podcast, slamming Governor Gavin Newsom for what they see as a total failure in leadership. They're demanding accountability, and they're not mincing words. If you're into bold, unfiltered political commentary, this episode pulls no punches. Hit that subscribe button and dive in.
The whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing, and then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. Like, you're out of your mind, dude. You've ruined the state. You personally ruined it.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back as he tore into California Governor Gavin Newsom, accusing him of squandering his time in office. To Rogan, California should be a beacon, a destination for ambitious dreamers chasing opportunity. But instead, he says, people are fleeing in droves. Rogan himself left the state in 2020, disillusioned by what he calls a toxic cancel culture where a single misstep could ruin your life. And that, he warned, was just the beginning. Rogan went on to accuse Newsom of taking a once thriving, opportunity-rich state and running it into the ground through poor leadership, reactive policies, and political theater. He cited surging crime, an exploding homelessness crisis, fleeing businesses, and sky-high taxes as symptoms of Newsom's failures. To Rogan, the governor embodies the worst of progressive politics, prioritizing flashy optics and ideology over real-world solutions. This isn't the first time Rogan's gone after Newsom. Back during the pandemic, he slammed the administration for what he saw as devastating mismanagement, claiming their decisions wrecked small businesses across the state.
No one who is alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it. So what do you tell those people? Vote Republican.
Gavin Newsom's pandemic mismanagement was the breaking point for Joe Rogan, a moment that pushed him to suggest doing the unthinkable, supporting the Republican Party. Why? Because, in Rogan's eyes, the Democrats blew it badly. Prolonged lockdowns devastated small businesses, sparked a mental health crisis, and did little to curb the spread of the virus. Schools remained closed for months, robbing children, especially those from disadvantaged communities, of vital education, despite evidence showing minimal transmission risks. Then came the strict mask mandates, which Rogan dismissed as political theater rather than science. He didn't hold back. On his podcast, Rogan slammed the left for silencing dissent, distorting facts, and treating open debate as a threat. He accused Newsom of squandering a golden opportunity, turning a thriving state into a cautionary tale of chaos. In Rogan's view, California under Newsom became a place where businesses vanished, freedoms eroded, and lives unraveled. But the pandemic, Rogan argued, was just the tip of the iceberg. It didn't just show failure, it exposed what he sees as a rot at the heart of progressive leadership: more control, zero common sense. And Rogan isn't letting up. He's continued to pile on the pressure, especially during the recent wildfire crisis, calling out what he views as more of the same failed leadership from Newsom.
This guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plan.
Watch this. Play this.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas about some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
The big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to John. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in. And he's saying, move forward. We're going to move forward on that. These people lost their homes.
Now it makes sense why Joe Rogan is urging Californians to consider voting Republican, because, for him, leadership isn't about cameras, spin, or staged optics. It's about showing up when it matters. And when California was in free fall, Rogan remembers Arnold Schwarzenegger stepping into the storm, no excuses, no finger-pointing. He took responsibility and tried to right the ship. Gavin Newsom, on the other hand, treated the crisis like a political chess game. While small businesses were collapsing and families were struggling to survive, Newsom was dining maskless at luxury restaurants, flouting the very mandates he forced on others, all while eyeing a potential presidential run. To Rogan, that's not leadership. That's ambition disguised as governance. When Californians needed grit, accountability, and real action, Newsom delivered headlines and hypocrisy. That's why Rogan's criticism hits hard. It's not about party lines. It's about a basic call for genuine leadership. Someone with backbone, honesty, and a sense of duty. Because California doesn't need another slick politician. It needs someone who actually gives a damn.
Gavin Newsom talks about California. He's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. California has all this industry. Hey, they're all thinking about moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. If it was like every business could instantly pull up roots and replace everything and have everything running in a week at the other place, they'd all be gone.
Joe Rogan didn't pull any punches. He ripped into Gavin Newsom, accusing him of turning California into a graveyard for small businesses. In Rogan's view, Newsom's brand of leadership hasn't just hurt entrepreneurs, it suffocated them. He pointed first to Assembly Bill 5, the controversial law that reclassified freelancers and gig workers as employees. The result? Soaring labor costs, legal chaos, and a crushing blow to small operations trying to stay afloat. Then came the headline-grabbing $20 minimum wage, great for optics, but devastating in practice. Rogan argued it drained the life out of restaurants, led to mass layoffs, and forced countless closures. And the hits kept coming. California's unemployment system became a magnet for fraud under Newsom's watch, and now businesses are being punished with payroll tax hikes to clean up the mess, tax hikes they never signed up for. Rogan laid it out plain. Newsom didn't help small business owners. He buried them under red tape, broken policies, and hollow political stunts. What was once the land of opportunity, Rogan warned, is now a cautionary tale. And he made it clear, he's not done talking about it.
It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bull with all the permits and all the... What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible. And then they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke shit show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like no course correction at all. They're going further and further into La La Land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys.
Joe Rogan has clearly had enough of Gavin Newsom's administration, and honestly, can you blame him? With sweeping policies, suffocating regulations, and a government more obsessed with headlines than results, you'd expect California to be leading the nation in quality of life. But it's not even close. Despite being one of the wealthiest states in the U.S., California is struggling with problems more severe than those in many average-income states. Homelessness has surged, turning parts of Los Angeles and San Francisco into sprawling tent cities. Violent crime continues to rise in major cities. Businesses are packing up and moving to states like Texas and Florida, drawn by lower taxes and a more stable environment. And the skyrocketing cost of living is squeezing the life out of the middle class. So, what have all these progressive policies really delivered? According to critics like Rogan, nothing but bloated egos in Sacramento and a state drifting further and further from the once vibrant California dream. And he's not alone. Actor Mel Gibson has now joined the chorus, publicly calling for Newsom to step down.
Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Mel Gibson didn't hold back. He went straight for the jugular. Vote Gavin Newsom out. And he wasn't just stirring the pot. He meant every word. Gibson's breaking point came when Newsom stood by as ICE protests spiraled into chaos. What began as peaceful demonstrations quickly morphed into destructive riots, looting, vandalized storefronts, and neighborhoods left in ruins. While Newsom played the political optics game, Gibson called him out for choosing ideology over accountability. Instead of stepping up with proper security to protect communities, Newsom, Gibson argued, sided with the protesters, and turned a blind eye when violence erupted. To Gibson, this wasn't just bad leadership, it was outright negligence. Californians weren't asking for martial law. They wanted peace, protection, and a leader who had their backs. But Newsom, in Gibson's eyes, couldn't even deliver that. And while California burned, Gibson slammed Newsom for grandstanding, picking fights on national TV and provoking border state governors instead of fixing the disaster unfolding at home. For Gibson, it was clear, California doesn't just need a new direction, it needs a new governor.
Get your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
As if arresting one person could magically erase the chaos he helped unleash during the ICE protests, it's laughable. Just another carefully staged stunt by Gavin Newsom, designed to sell the illusion that he's some kind of hard-nosed leader. But peel back the photo ops and press flashes, and you're left with a politician obsessed with appearances, not outcomes. Newsom's response to the protests wasn't leadership, it was desperate damage control. I watched from the sidelines as cities burned, businesses were wrecked, and public trust in government unraveled. And then, when the backlash rolled in, Newsom flipped the script, striking a tough guy pose as if he'd been in control the whole time. It's the textbook definition of hypocrisy. If he truly cared about solving the immigration crisis, he would have worked with the federal government to fix bottlenecks through legal, humane, and effective reform. He could have pushed for real solutions, securing the borders while providing immigrants a fair and just path forward. But that takes courage. And that's exactly what Newsom lacks. And he's not just facing heat from critics like Rogan and Gibson. Actor Jon Voight also stepped in, delivering some sharp words of his own for the California governor.
You're a fool, blaming Trump. What are you doing for this destruction of these animals destroying Los Angeles? Are you there, talking calmly with them, you fool? They would burn you down like they're burning the cars and the American flag, with no regard for humanity. This is not about Trump. This is about protecting the people from these animals and criminals trying to destroy us. And our police force, are they supposed to stand there, let rocks hit them and kill them? Who's going to save them? You? You're a disgrace. You're nothing but a lying dog for the hopes of becoming the president one day.
With a record like this, the idea of Gavin Newsom as the Democratic Party's leading man in 2028 is almost laughable. California, overflowing with wealth, innovation, and talent, has stumbled hard under his leadership. If he can't keep one state from spiraling into economic decline, homelessness, and rising crime, how can anyone trust him with the entire nation? Newsom seems more comfortable managing headlines than managing actual results. His policies might sparkle on paper, but in practice, they collapse. He talks about progress while businesses flee, schools underperform, and everyday Californians are left holding the bag. Real leadership isn't about catchy soundbites or staged press conferences, it's about real, visible results. So when talk shifts to Newsom as a future president, it's a major red flag. If this is his blueprint for governance, America can't afford to let him roll it out on a national scale. His tenure in California has been a crash course in failure. Policies that hurt more than help, flashy slogans over real solutions, and chaos masquerading as reform. Critics like Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson aren't buying it. And more voters are starting to see through the act. That wraps up today's video. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more unfiltered commentary, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.